So forgive me for doing the whole hair flipping from side to side, but I don't normally have very good hair days. So um, actually, today it's a little bit of like a like a day of reflection and trying to figure it out, uh, trying to make a decision. I know that maybe a lot of people out there are thinking, well, why doesn't your mom just decide for you? Because you're probably still a child, and I'm talking about adults here. Um, Actually, adults have to make a decision for themselves sometimes, and it's like, oh man. So I sort of feel that maybe my biggest contribution to this world might always be is how to create a world that uh, doesn't necessarily always get stumped on, and I can speak whatever I want to say, and I can sound as pretty, and I can sound like I'm a person that believes in rainbows and unicorns, and nobody's gonna come and stop me. But at the same time, I always feel too that maybe if I was gonna be the vice president of the United States, if I was gonna be the vice president of the United States and I was going to do that and think like, well, everybody else is supposed to be in some wonderful situation. Well, yeah, maybe because you think that everybody that you have allowed to smoke marijuana is actually smoking marijuana, but that's not always the case. That's just not always the case, actually. I do, however, enjoy my wine. Wine is great. Wine is something that is my vice, and I don't necessarily think that it has anything to do with this video, except for the fact that the Book of Job led on to well, okay, so I'm gonna actually have to like really focus on what I'm trying to communicate here, and I really don't want to have any miscommunication with anybody, and I use racial slurs uh, by accident. No, I don't. If I've ever used racial slurs, I'm just kind of afraid that I was kind of like sucked into maybe like the whole um, you know past few years of things, and like the high brow, looking down to me and trying to tell me that I can't learn from a position that I'm in at work, and because nobody has to, except of course if there's certain training required. I'm actually in a little bit of a twilight zone with my current employer, and I am not going to be shy about shedding light on anything that is bothering me, even though I get paid my measly blah 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 salary. Okay, so um, it's just not appropriate uh, for the level of position that he might be in, and of course, nobody has to go after uh, creating their own world and bank unless they have something to show for it. Like, do you have something to show for your ambitions of having these, banks? And probably not. That's gonna be a problem. Okay. Um. It, so yes. I mean, obviously, always, as you say, shoot for the stars. And I'm just gonna be the little person. I'm just gonna be a little person that's like there, like trying to put the pieces together for you. And you know what? I'm gonna tell you probably already know this about myself, but eh, if I have to take over things and take over people, I'm gonna be very real, and that's what's gonna have to. That's when everybody's gonna turn on me. Fine, okay, so then do it. Either way, is it the Book of Job or okay? So my hair is kind of like dying down now, and I it's flattening. It look amazing. I don't know what the hell is going on. I want to say, first of all, that I don't consider myself a Latina or a Hispanic. I I consider myself somebody that's is being sort of like uh, probed into decide, and it's not going to happen. So I don't have to. The law is accessible to every human being. It's Cornell. It's on Cornell. It's a website. Anything that you want to know about the law is there. So there's no question about what's legal or not, or but that's not the most, I think, impactful information that you're ever going to have in order to make a decision that you can actually own for yourself and own it, make it yourselves. That information is going to come from, well, it's going to come from, if you were born from Satan and Satan is with you, then I'm not speaking to you. But if you were born of God and God is with you, then you're going to be fine. So there's nothing wrong with saying to yourself, "Hey, you know what? I'm actually better than I think I am, and then I just have to find out exactly how I have to get past certain obstacles. When you get past the certain obstacles that are keeping you, and you know what? I'm sorry, but I don't really care about the pettiness of my day-to-day life. I mean, I can do bookkeeping and taxes, and I can do like all these like nitty-gritty stuff, but when you're Kamala Harris and she's the vice president, and she's out there, and she wants you to be the person that is the fall guy for her on certain issues, as it's already happened with Hillary Clinton in Benghazi. there's always somebody that's a fall guy there. There's always, and actually, that's almost how I feel like it is in my work environment right now. And so that's the message here. Um, yes, you have to like actually speak out and be the person that has the morals and not just be the person that wants to just like be on the gravy train. And they're the gravy train. They are the people that are basically not embarrassed enough as they are already, that the next time that they come around and try to be on this on the scene is gonna be like their kids are like something ridiculous that everybody has to become passionate about, right? So I definitely don't regret anything that I've ever done in my life. Nothing. There's nothing. And I definitely don't regret anything that I've done in my life as part of the an enterprising community. The enterprising community has been where I've come in and I've said, this is what I have to offer. This is what I have to do. Take it or leave it. It's like, but fine. You know, it's not necessarily always easy to actually do what you have to do uh, so that you can accomplish something greater. You have to do it, and then you'll see it eventually. And of course, there's always somebody that's going to be blocking you, and which is what I'm responsive to right now, and what we have to really be addressing. We have to know that there's people out there that don't want progress, and those people call their actions progress. Like progressive? No, I'm sorry, but you haven't addressed these issues. So, but because they have a color, they have like a color on their face. They, have done certain maneuvers for certain rich people like Hunter Biden and all his like laptop secret deals. They think things haven't been settled. Guess what? They have. They've been settled. You're just dirty. You're trash. You're trash. Um, yeah. So I'm not sure how else to go from here, but I know that God kick his. Did I say kick his? Because I meant kicks, but with a apostrophe. Kick. Alrighty, guys. He kicks my ass. God kicks my ass. So apparently, I'm already dead. Either way, the Book of Job, great book. It was written not in the time like it's contemporary. I would want to say. I think it's probably more contemporary than we think it is. Either way, love myself and bridging the gap, guys.
The summer then, and gave a long non-answer, but did manage to blame Putin a couple of times.
It doesn't surprise me, David. that they would do that. This is the type of thing they do. And why don't they tell us how this is a green policy too? I mean, if you're lowering the gas tax on gas and oil, aren't you encouraging people to buy more, and that's polluting the air and doing all that stuff? The only thing they're doing is they're making it polluting more by
We're
putting
catching
away
on
and
there.
sending us away off, and then
You see
playing
that?
Americans. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is just a gimmick. President Obama was right when he referred to the Dem is now, well, Democrats.
And it's more PR than policy. It's just, that's what it is. You know, and by the way, it has to go to the legislature, which is wrong. I can't imagine the Republicans voting for this to get in a big win when it's a nothing burger.
And so now the Democrats would then accuse Republicans of being against lowering taxes on the American people. Again, there's always a,
Oh, no, no.
Well, what did you think about that's maybe quiet.
The infrastructure bill to build back better when it's done. I mean, goodness gracious, you don't want to short those highway funds and get all the infrastructure you really need now, do you? I'm just joking, Megan. There's no way they can win this one. Their logic is just all flawed, and it's just pure politics.
well, speaking of politics, Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm is expected to meet with oil executives this Thursday. What is she possibly going to say to these, other than vilify them to their face if she has the gumption to do that?
Sorry. Just like
She doesn't
listening
have the
to.
gumption to do that. If you ever seen her before, she really is a very strong-willed person. Believe me when I tell you, and she would do that. But it's the wrong thing to do. These guys are business people just like everyone else. They're trying to make a buck in this world, and frankly, they're not trying to exploit anyone. They're trying to do the right job and provide the oil. But the president and the Congress has stopped them from building the oil and structure that we need to provide that oil. So if you complain about anything, they should just yell right back at Granholm and say, "Why don't you let
I
us produce
smell
more
greed.
oil?"
I smell greed a little bit. That's
Art, what
since
could
the
Biden administration do here?
beginning
I've
of time.
said that he could come out and say, I will veto
Wow.
anything that increases government spending for the foreseeable future.
No wonder it's called
including
dinosaur
extending the
oil or whatever,
moratorium on student
dinosaur
loan
gold.
payments, which is a handout ongoing to rich people in this country. He could do that, but without doing anything to cool inflation, they are what I call can kicking, doing some can kicking that's dangerous because everything is kicked over to the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve
Is that
a
like
blunt
some sort of like
instrument
encouragement?
that could cause a financial calamity as it tries to raise rates and reduce the balance sheet and tame inflation.
What I think they should do, Dan, right along your lines, is they should impound the funds that have already been authorized but have not been spent because we can't afford the inflation there. I think you should come out publicly and say, I no longer want Build Back Better, that $6 trillion program that's in the budget. He should do that. And he should also then say, I want to open up all the oil production we can. I want to reverse the Keystone Pipeline. I want to reverse all the injunctions we put against drilling in Anwar and elsewhere in the country. And I want to build more refineries. That's what he should do. But instead, they're playing politics in the worst way. And their polls show. Everyone sees through the transparency these people have. They're just stark, transparent political operatives, and it's really not attractive.
Well, they don't know how to answer to questions either when grilled about what's going on in the economy. Or today,
Well,
Biden was asked
actually,
about
the point of my
what,
video today
Larry
was
Summers
about
was talking
creating
about,
jobs
like,
that
unemployment rate
can
needs to
help
go
people
up
get
in order
rich,
to
but apparently
tame inflation. He was
there's
asked about
people
this
that
today,
can
and here's
play
his
with a whole lot
answer.
of money
I'll
that
listen to this real quick.
doesn't necessarily materialize
Okay.
into anything that's conducive to people think that the infrastructure is
There's other
oh, never mind.
economists who
Now
don't
I
think
get
that's the case. We're
Some
in the
people think
process
that
of working through
the
all this.
infrastructure means
That was
that
the best thing you
it's
gave us.
how much money you have,
Oh my goodness.
and
That's
and
sort of
then
embarrassing. I mean, when you look at this economy, Dagan, and just factually, there are
flaunt it,
800,000
maybe,
less
you
jobs
know,
today.
like, well, this is what it
800,000 less
is,
jobs
and
today than there were in February of 2020. If you do it on a trend line, for
sort
now,
of like the
about 5-6
BLM
million jobs
sort of
were
thing,
where
like,
we are
well,
at the end, just before the
we
pandemic.
needed all this money so that we can,
1.5%
we,
decline
me
in
and
GDP. That's actually
my
on the first quarter. And this
LGBTQ
quarter now is estimated by the
wife
Atlanta Fed as being very, very close to zero.
have
If it comes in
our
negative, that
own
will be the two
pad
quarters in a row
to lick
that
each
would be the
other's
definition
pussies.
of recession.
I don't
Right, if
know,
you talk,
you know,
if
it's
you
like,
ask anybody, like folks
oh,
that
that's
we
gross.
know who
To
don't
me,
work in
to me.
Washington, if you
Not
ask
to
them
you.
anything
I
about,
know,
oh,
I
maybe
know, I know
recession's
it's
on the
not gross to
horizon,
you.
they will make a nasty hand gesture at you because people already feel like that they're in a recession in terms of just trying to cope with decline, which has not fully recovered all the jobs lost during the COVID shutdown.
No.
Because I sat down and did the
That's
math
right.
too.
Well,
Yeah, you're
there's,
exactly right. I mean, they haven't. And then we've had 2 quarters of minus 1.5%, and the next one was revised from 1.3% to 0.9%, now to 0%. So it's worse. I mean, these things are not attractive, and he's just telling all the wrong stories. He's not saying things correctly. He's wrong when he says it's the best economy in the world. We've got all this growth. We're the fastest growth ever. That's not true. It's literally the opposite of that.
Yeah, and when you say that, you're spitting in the face of every hardworking American who's struggling just to fill up their cars to get to work. James Freeman wrote about this now, just real quick. Joe Biden voted for, when he was a senator, half a century of that, well, almost, that he voted for the Reagan tax reforms in 81 and 86. And now look what's happened to him.
I know it's terrible. You know, but what you see happening here, Dagan, if I may say, these people will rebut arguments. I'm talking about the Biden economists. These people will rebut arguments they know to be true in order to curry favors with their political benefactors. And that is the thing that disgusts me.
So desperate when egg prices were rising. Not only did he rough up McChesney Martin, who was the Fed chief, but when egg prices surged in general out to scare the American people about cholesterol to bring egg prices down.
I don't you love it? I mean, you know, this is time and time again, these patterns occur. We're going to have wage and price controls too. We're going to have wellhead price, excess profits tax. All of those are all in the itinerary of what's going to be rolled out over the next year of that economy, and none of it will work.
Yeah, it
I've been
causes
there,
shortages.
done that,
Right.
and unfortunately, I've experienced it all, Dagan, and it never does work. Free markets work over government control every single time.
Amen. Hallelujah. Our bless. Bless you, sir. Always a great to see you.
God love you.
Love
Thank
you
you.
too.